thought changing the name of the foundation, as your suggestion is, to Solo Sendeng and Co Foundation. But I'm not objecting actually, but I think in my own thoughts, it is the same for our foundation being called, the Solo Sendeng Foundation and the Solo Sendeng and Co Foundation. Because when you talk about the Solo Sendeng Foundation, you still mean the April 14 and April 16 inclusively. So you cannot actually separate Solo Sendeng from Nogon Jai and Fatmata Jawara and Co. So I still see it as the same name that it has. It is just that we've seen on social media and everything that the Solo Sendeng name has been used more, to refer to the April 14 protests. So that was the idea behind the name being, the name of our association foundation being the Solo Sendeng Foundation. It is a beautiful thought, and I want to let you know that once you say the Solo Sendeng Foundation, you mean the Nogonjai Foundation, you mean the Fatmata Jawara Foundation, and you mean the April 14 protest. Thank you.
There's someone who has a question at the back.
Thank you very much. My name is Ebrima. I joined the family for the morning the question I have actually is that commission, what is the and then my question will be, because Gambia has a lot of freedom fighters, so Sendeng is among them. And then we have others who work also succumb to death, because of freedom fighting. So, and then the foundation, according to Fatima, in your presentation, is that the foundation will be fighting for freedom. We continue fighting for freedom. Are we going to see this foundation fighting, for freedom for all Gambians, those succumb to death, those disappear without trace? Is this foundation going to stand?
Wow. All right, thank you, Keba, for that. And I believe, to me, if you ask me that question, I would say I would not answer that question. But still, for clarification's sake, I believe my presentation has said we want to continue what my father stood for. Let's say what Solo Sendeng stood for as a Gambian, not as my father, as an individual. Solo stood up for the Gambia on that day. He was not putting on anything other than a plain shirt. He said we need proper electoral reforms, and electoral reforms affected Gambia as a country and as a people. So we are not saying we are doing this for specific people and leaving some people out. Be rest assured, and let every Gambian be rest assured that those victims are victims of the Solo Sendeng Foundation, that those victims are seen by the Solo Sendeng Foundation as Solo Sendeng himself, because being the man he was, he would stand up for people even more than he. I bet Solo didn't know many of us here. But why did he say, I'm sacrificing myself for you? It's because he is concerned about you, about your well-being. So the Solo Sendeng Foundation wouldn't do justice if we have to side with one part of Gambia and leave the other part of Gambia. We want to assure you that those victims and every other victim who has been lost without trace, who has been killed without justice, would have backings from the Solo Sendeng Foundation, just like we are standing for Solo Sendeng and anybody else that has to face injustice in the future, which is why we said we want to provide legal aid for the general public, and also have collaborations with the Ministry of Interior to make sure we better the prison conditions. I bet there are many people in the prisons who are not even related to Solo, but we believe he wanted a better Gambia and a better society and people. So we are working for all Gambians and even non-Gambians residing in the Gambia and even not in the Gambia. It is a foundation that wants to be international, free, just and equal. We say we want to see a world like that.
Any other question? Thank you, Fatima, for the response.
Somebody.
Chair, that's my boyfriend.
Next up.
That's my boyfriend.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lex. I'm a graphic activist. Actually, I want to emphasize something. This is the foundation here. It's different from a movement, a civic movement. It's different from an association. A foundation keeps a legacy going on. So we have to emphasize on that. You should let them know. I know this is new to Gambians. You should let them know that this is the foundation to keep a legacy going on. Because having to separate Solo Sendeng from the rest, or thinking that representing Solo Sendeng doesn't mean like representing others, really doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, calling on Solo Sendeng means, like Mohammed said, calling on orders. You don't have to, like Killer is saying, to have a code here. Because Solo Sendeng is Red Sam, Solo Sendeng is Brahman, Solo Sendeng is everyone here that fought and stood for something. So the foundation is to keep a legacy going on. Solo Sendeng used to have people in the prisons because when he went there, he saw the situations, and when he came out, he did his best to make sure and ensure that the prisoners back there had their medication supply and also their food supply. So at the end of the day, the foundation is to keep a legacy going on, and you have to emphasize it that it's not a civic movement that has to be involved in standing for people's rights or whatever. It's a foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Okay, on that note, thank you all very much for the wonderful comments and deliberations, especially the question and answer session. It was really intriguing to hear some of your beautiful thoughts and questions in terms of sustainability, especially about where this foundation is going to go and some of the aims and objectives that we stand for. On that note, I'll ask Mohammed Sendeng to give the vote of thanks and also give the closing remarks.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much, Aliu. I'm asked to give a vote of thanks and a closing remark, but then I want to seize this opportunity to say, April 14, 2016 showed Gambians in an unspoken voice that Gambia has a potential that is far more beyond our votes in effecting what needs to happen in our society, in our country. We have our votes, yes, and then they are a representation of our voices, yes. But then I want to tell Gambians that, and especially the young, that our votes are, let me say, a section of our voices that come periodically in a period of 5 years, and then we have our actual voices that represent us day by day that we can use even after elections, because our votes, yes, our voices reside in our votes too, but then votes are components of our voices that we give out and give back in a period of 5 years, the only retainable component of our voices are our actual voices that we keep and that we can use to speak against whatever every day. So I want, to tell Gambians that in the world that we have something that is stronger than our votes, that are our actual voices. So that being the case, we can use our voices to affect what goes on in our country. We need to dare question the norms of voting periodically in 5 years and then sit back in our booths and our campus, as we locally call them, and watch the people in power go about do their things in their offices. And what do we say again? We have nothing to tell them until when the 5 years elapses and it comes back. And I want to tell you all that this my speech is not directed but inspired by a brother that I was acknowledged, that is Immortal X. I want to say his friendship with me has great benefit to both of us, I'll say, and I want to acknowledge his presence. Aliuba is actually his name, but he's immortal. Yes, that's him right there. Okay. I'm not actually representing him in my speech, but it's part of it is inspired by him, and I must acknowledge that. Okay. On our voices, we do not actually need to give the whole of our voices and give them up to the people in power. This has a great effect on us, because whenever we do that, we need to sit and wait for 5 more years to come in order to gain back our voices and give them to other people, other set of people who will have them for another 5 years and do whatever. And what do? We just talk and that is it. They have their voices. So what I am saying, why not we find ways to stand and represent ourselves? And I mean represent our beliefs and speak for ourselves, other than giving entirely ourselves to elites. I think this is important, that we need to, Gambians, especially the youth, we have the potential to determine what happens in our country, not aging people. We should not give our lives to aging people. We have the potential that is much more greater than our votes. We have our voices and we have our abilities to effect what happens in our legislatures and in our cabinet as well. And we cannot do this without mass movements, I would say, that need to speak up and say this is what we want to happen. And we cannot become mass movements when we are separated. We must come together and have one goal and move forward as one nation. For if we insist on pursuing our personal goals, we will fall. We will be divided and we will fall, actually. So I would like to call on every young Gambian to think when you sleep tonight, to think if you really need to succumb to the intelligence of the elites and forget your own intelligence. Think and know that you have intelligence in you. The elites are no better than ordinary people. We feed them. Do you know that? Especially the presidency. The presidency is the most accountable office to the people. So we should not surrender ourselves to them. I want to make it clear. Thank you. And to the vote of thanks. This was actually all not the vote of thanks. So I'll come to the vote of thanks now. I want to, first of all, I might be sounding funny. I want to first of all thank Kifa Barhama, who is actually Mamur Mbenga, for that beautiful documentary we just used. He's actually not present here, but he is a brother who loves myself and my family and has great respect for my father. And it is his documentary we just used here. That is the cattle. So we must thank him for that. And then I will not mention everybody in person because I might make a mistake. That's my or our gratitude might be questioned. But I want to thank everybody that has donated in one way or the other to the success of from the war.